Breaking overnight, the Senate passes a deal to fund portions of the Department of Homeland Security, including TSA. But this is far from a sure thing. We'll explain why in a moment.
A strike at the JBS meatpacking facility in Gley will extend into a third week. Thousands of workers are off the job this morning. We will tell you why and the latest on negotiation.
First this morning, let's take a live look at the city of Denver right now, waking up to cooler temperatures this morning. You might need to pull that light jacket out of the closet, maybe swap out the shorts for a pair of pants too. It's weird to be saying because we've been on a hot streak, but today it is going to be cool. Thanks for joining us. Happy Friday. I'm Corey Rose.
And I'm Steve Steger. I'm telling you, I bring the light jacket on the days when it's 80 degrees, and then I don't bring the light jacket this morning when it was 44 when I walked out.
This is why you have to listen to Katie.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pay attention, I promise. You know, Katie, the big surprise for me yesterday was walking out in the middle of the afternoon, and everything just reeked of smoke, and there was haze, and it was the smoke from the wildfires moving in.
We got a lot of questions about that, absolutely. So we saw the wildfire smoke shift in as our front rolled into the Front Range. Winds from the northeast were dragging in some of that smoke and haze. It is cloudy this morning. I put my jacket on this morning. It's cool out here, significantly cooler. We were hovering in the 50s at this time of the morning yesterday. So a nice crisp start to our day, but still slightly above average. Colder air settling in over the Front Range, the Eastern Plains. All of the I-25 corridor will see more cloud coverage to start this Friday. And then our next ridge builds back in across Colorado. But precipitation-wise, we saw a little shower activity here and there, a few light flurries this morning lingering in the mountains. Shouldn't impact roads too much if you are traveling. It's dry currently and just cloudy and cool. We'll be hovering in the upper 30s, low 40s this morning, so it's not going to warm up much through the at least first half of the day. Decreasing clouds, and we'll hit our high 54 degrees. That is below average for this time of the year, but we'll clear out later on tonight and we'll be warming back up pretty quickly. Brianna, tomorrow we're right back to 80 degrees. We have this nice little brief break from the heat, but we're expected to set records as we get into Sunday afternoon as well.
Katie, thank you so much. Happy Friday, everyone. 5:02 is your time. Getting you out the door with a live look of I-25 and Colorado Boulevard. So right now, both directions of Colorado Boulevard, as well as I-25, I'm not seeing any impact whatsoever, but we do have a crash that's not happening not far from this camera. So I do want to show you from our maps. If we switch things over to our main maps, it's just one crash that we're tracking. Denver police actually just posted it on social media. They're saying that it's happening right at the intersection of Colorado at Arizona. 2 vehicles were involved. We know it involves serious injuries as well. DPD is saying please expect delays in that area. Because traffic is so light right now, I am not going to see any impacts whatsoever to those north and southbound lanes up and down Colorado Boulevard. But of course, if anything changes in the next 30 to 45 minutes, I will keep you guys updated. 270, you still have the green light from I-25 to I-70. So right now you are looking at a 5-minute drive.
Breaking overnight, a deal, at least in one chamber, to make sure TSA workers get paid.
In a rare overnight session, the Senate unanimously voted to fund most of the Department of Homeland Security. This covers TSA, the Coast Guard, and a handful of other Homeland Security agencies. It does not include money for Border Patrol or ICE. Democrats call the deal a win on the Senate floor, while Republicans accuse them of playing politics.
It is now clear to everyone, Democrats didn't actually want a solution. They wanted an issue. Politics over policy.
Democrats held firm in our opposition that Donald Trump's rogue and deadly militia should not get more funding without serious reforms, and we will continue to fight for those reforms.
The bill is headed to the House. It is not clear if it will pass. It is also not clear if the bill will have the president's support. President Trump has not talked about it since it passed the Senate. He did post on social media that he will sign an executive order to make sure TSA agents are paid. TSA officers were scheduled to miss their third paycheck today. Since the shutdown began, many TSA officers have called out sick or quit altogether. It's the second time these officers have missed paychecks in the last 6 months, which is leading to a high quit rate. Hundreds of TSA officers have left the job since September.
The ongoing TSA troubles came up during a cabinet meeting yesterday. It was the first time the president met with his cabinet since the start of the war in Iran.
Defeated, they can't make a comeback.
Trump says that he estimated that this conflict would last 4 to 6 weeks and that the U.S. is ahead of schedule. He once again insisted, despite Iran's denials, that the country's leaders are desperately negotiating a deal to try to end the war. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff confirmed the U.S. gave Iran a 15-point action list as a framework for a peace deal and said both sides have had positive talks.
If we can convince Iran that this is the inflection point with no good alternatives for them, other than more death and destruction. We have strong signs that this is a possibility.
Cuff's comments, Iran dismissed the American plan to pause the war in the Middle East and launched more attacks on Israel and Gulf Arab countries, including strikes that hit a fuel tank at Kuwait International Airport. Meanwhile, Trump says attacks on Iran's energy infrastructure will be paused until next month as negotiations continue. Officials briefed some lawmakers on the war earlier this week. 4 sources tell NBC News Republicans and Democrats walked away frustrated on what they called the lack of clarity on the president's strategy or on whether the U.S. would send ground troops to the region.
The JBS strike continues. Last night, we learned the union representing 3,800 workers at the JBS meatpacking plant in Gley will now go into a 3rd week. It was meant to last 2 weeks, but union leaders said last night they plan to keep it going into a 3rd. There hasn't been much sign of progress between the two sides since the strike began earlier this month. JBS has said it has shifted production to other facilities across the country as they try to maintain normal operations.
Bad news for anyone looking to get into the housing market. Mortgage rates are now at 6.4%, the highest they've been in months. Realtors had hoped that this year would turn around the stagnating market, but that appeared to be happening last month when mortgage rates fell below 6% for the first time in more than 3 years. But now, higher rates are likely to spook buyers and sellers alike as the market enters its busy spring season. Crypto-backed mortgages could soon go mainstream. Coinbase says Fannie Mae will accept them soon. They allow borrowers to pledge cryptocurrency for home loans instead of selling it and using the cash. Coinbase says it's partnering with Better Home and Finance on this new product.
Castle Pines City Council has placed a 100-day stay on any future request for annexation of a piece of land in Douglas County. The nearly 800-acre property known as Crow's Nest is located in unincorporated Douglas County. It is directly south of Parker and east of Castle Pines. The land would have been used for a new mixed-use community, but people who live in Castle Pines were worried the new community could be a drain on resources there. This week, City Council unanimously approved withdrawal of the annexation request. Council also approved a resolution to help write a new annexation policy in case something like this happens in the future. According to city documents, the policy will include public engagement and planning for parks, trails, and commercial areas.
Denver's looking to ditch Bird and Lime shareable scooters and replace them with a company called VIO. A closer look at the agreement that leaders are considering raises a new concern. While the city says its low-income access program will continue and remain a priority, the proposed agreement includes a clause that could allow riders to be charged up to $5 a month under certain conditions. The provision would apply if low-income trips exceed 25% of all rides and VIO spends through a $1 million city subsidy. Lime says its program already exceeds that threshold, raising concerns that the fee could be triggered. Now, city officials and VIO say that they did not expect riders to be charged, and any fee would require city approval, leading advocacy groups wondering why it's even mentioned in the first place.
If even the private sector partner is saying they don't intend to use that, why is it there?
City council members are scheduled to vote on VIO's contract next week at a meeting of the city's transportation committee. At this point, it's not clear if it'll get the go-ahead.
Voters in Greeley decided to halt a major development on the city's west side, but you still may notice construction crews doing some work over there. In a special election last month, voters decided to repeal zoning designations for a plan to create a new ice hockey arena, a water park, hotel, and housing. When that vote came down, work at the site had already started. The city says as it evaluates next steps, crews are completing grading work to stabilize the site. The city says it will still complete the installation of a water line because it's part of a broader infrastructure project. They say a custom water pipe was already built and delivered to the site, and at this point, they've already invested $14 million for the project.